bad situation worse. Kamala is going to protect that at least. She's going to lower the cost of prescription drugs, major problem. But overall, we have got to continue the effort to make sure that every man, woman, and child in this country has health care as a human right and not a system which simply allows for huge profits for the drug companies and the insurance companies.
Senator Sanders, thank you so much. We have another guest here to ask, I believe, one final question for you. His name is Mark Hamill. Mark, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you. We're all huge fans. And I understand you have a question for Senator Sanders.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's a great honor to meet Senator Sanders, someone who I've followed all my adult life, and I'm grateful for his service. Now, when it comes to the question, I'm sure we all saw the stunt that Trump pulled yesterday at a closed restaurant with people hired to play customers and work at McDonald's. I noticed when he was asked whether they should raise the minimum wage in regards to workers like that in fast food restaurants, he avoided the question entirely. Didn't even attempt to answer it. Now, the minimum wage hasn't been raised in decades. You probably know better than I think, maybe 2000.
Oh, I do. Yep.
Okay, well, basically, I just want to hear your thoughts on all that I just put forward.
Okay, very briefly, we talked about it a moment ago, but bottom line is you're quite right, Mark. Trump ducked the issue, despite the fact that there are thousands of McDonald's workers trying to get by on 12 or 13 bucks an hour and millions of American workers. All right, Trump does not believe that we should raise the federal minimum wage, which is now $7.25 an hour. That's horrific. Kamala Harris believes that we should raise it to at least $15 an hour, which means that many millions of workers will get a substantial pay raise. So it is a very, very important issue, and one that I feel passionately about. I happen to believe the minimum wage should be at least 17 bucks an hour. Kamala thinks at least 15. We will discuss that, but at least we have got to raise that to a livable wage and not have Trump's position that leaves it at 7.25.
Thank you. And I personally worked at McDonald's. I've never put it on my resume, but it was interesting because when I first worked at McDonald's, I was living at home, and it was just pure profit. Fast forward to working at Jack in the Box when I was in my first year of college, and I couldn't live on that then. That was 50 years ago. So
That's right.
It's just,
and people can't. And by the way, they can't if they don't get the health insurance they get. Is pathetic as well.
Exactly.
So, look, it's an embarrassment that you have a so-called billionaire like Trump who doesn't think that we should raise the minimum wage above 7.25 an hour. All right. With that, Austin, I think I'm going to have to run.
Yeah, sure.
Listen, thank you all very much for what you're doing, guys. This is an enormously important election. Let's get everybody out to vote. Let's win this thing for Kamala. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Sanders, for your time.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Senator. Thank you. Well, that was amazing. Mark, do you have a few moments to sit and chat with us?
Sure. What's going on?
Hi, Mark.
Well, Mark, is this your first time on Twitch?
I think so.
Well, welcome. Give him a round of applause. There's a lot of people watching right now.
Do you play Fortnite by any chance?
What?
No, I'm going to go do a fundraiser for Democrats.
That's amazing.
With gamers, and I have to tell them in advance.
We love you.
I haven't played games since my kids were small. So,
Aww.
I know. It's terrible, but I mean, it's the same with Star Wars. I haven't seen those movies since they first came out. I don't go back and watch them again.
Yeah.
These people will come up to me and ask me these questions, and they've seen those movies far more times than I have, far more recently than I have. And they play the games, they read the comics, they read the novels. One guy was saying to me, when you went to the Wookiees' home planet, I said, wait a minute, did we go to the Wookiees' home planet? Well, it wasn't in a movie. It was in Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Oh, it's a novel by Harry Dean Foster. Again, I mean, I disappoint fans because they know more about it than I do.
No, you're never a disappointment. Also, if you ever want to learn, it would be easy. So just know it's always at your disposal,
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Oh. Mark, again, it's amazing. So you're doing a fundraiser. Where are you doing the fundraiser at?
Well, I've been accepting any Zoom
Sure.
that they request. So I've done it for Colin Allred and Ruben Gallego and Gloria Johnson, Debbie Mucarsel Powell, Josh Stein, Whitney Fox, and on and on and on and on and on. Because
Mhm.
I feel like that's the least I can do. I mean, I can't always travel to the state, but I can certainly come in the dining room and give them a couple of hours on my computer. So
Sure.
I don't know. It's coming up. My wife's not here right now, but she'll remind me. It's I think this coming week. But
Amazing.
yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. Mark, look, I know, I know your time is precious. I just want to ask you just a couple of quick questions. Obviously, we're all here for the same reason. We want to get people out to vote for Kamala Harris. What policy issue is really driving you to the polls? What's something that's really most important to you?
Well, first of all, I just want to compliment the names of these people, Valkyrie and Pokimane. Those are. Is that your?
Oh, yeah,
is
these
that
are
it?
It's an
usernames.
absolute honor to
What
hear
about
you
that?
utter that name. Thank you
Oh,
so much,
Okay.
sir.
Nice to
I
meet
see.
you.
So
Do I need to
that's
pay
not-
you for that? Because I
that's-
will.
Wow. I got like
that's
jump
not the
scared.
name- That's not the name
Oh.
on your birth certificate,
No,
right?
no, no. No,
no,
it's
no,
just a username.
Austin Show is on my birth certificate.
Oh, it is. Awesome.
Yeah,
So very good.
He was born to be a star. I'll tell you that much.
yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
there's the one main issue for me is preserving democracy
Mm-hmm.
because
Yes, sir.
it's democracy versus autocracy. He tells you what he's going to do. I mean, Google Project 2025 is absolutely horrifying. Getting rid of the Department of Education and putting 50,000, firing 50,000 civil servants who are nonpartisan to install loyalists. It's weird. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a reason-
it's weird. Yes.
well, there's a reason he admires Viktor Orban because he wants to do what Viktor Orban did, which was get elected democratically, then disassemble the media and put loyalists in across the board and transform into a dictator. It's really scary. The stakes are just couldn't be higher. And, you know, uh, I have a good feeling about this because I do believe there are more good, decent people that realize what a charlatan and a villain he is. Probably the worst thing that's ever happened to this country was electing this game show host with no, when he first got in, I thought, because I lived in New York when I was doing theater for 17 years, and I said, well, he has no moral convictions about anything.
No.
He could surprise us and be really good on climate change or, no. Once he realized that it's the way he got into politics. When he started pushing the birther lies about Obama not being born in America, he got a great reaction. So he realized the easiest path to success is through these extremists who are and appealing to all the darkest elements in human nature, anger, resentment, racism, big. Let's figure, I mean, the Obama lie is birtherism. He's just vile in every respect.
Yes. And
I actually have a question, if that's okay.
go ahead, Pokey.
Sure.
As you said, there are so many issues at stake right now. And I actually wanted to ask this to Bernie as well. But since he had to run, I'll ask you instead. Are there any resources that you could recommend for voters who want to get more informed? Anything you suggest?
Well, the simplest thing, and I always tell my kids to tell their kids to tell their friends to tell their friends, iwillvote.com. It's so simple. You go to iwillvote.com, and within 60 seconds, you can be registered. You can figure out where you can go to physically vote, how to get mail-in ballots. That's one of the easiest ways to get knowledgeable about that.
Austin, I think that's a good question for you too, because I feel like, over the last 48 hours, all of this coming together, I've come to learn how much you know. Like, you're so knowledgeable on politics.
Me? You talking to
Yeah.
me?
Yeah. Are there any resources you would suggest for people as well?
Look, I mean, I think it's important to understand, in social media is a nightmare. Mark, I don't know if you're on social media. It is crazy. It's chaotic. Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, I'm on Twitter, which
Uh,
I do myself, and then
sure,
my daughter Chelsea repurposes my Twitter for Instagram.
sure,
I
sure.
quit I quit
That's
Facebook
so
in
nice of her.
protest. I quit Facebook in 2016 in protest of the way they handled
Yeah,
Hillary. It just pissed me off. I mean,
yeah.
obviously no one cares, but I'm looking for I loathe Leon Musk so much now.
Oh, me too.
I'm looking for a reason to get off
Yeah,
Twitter, and if I
all of
do,
us are. Yeah.
yeah, well, if I get off Twitter, I'm not going to do social media anymore.
Well,
You
no,
know?
yeah, we're all looking for an escape
Yeah.
from X or whatever they call it now. I still call it Twitter. But I would
Everyone calls it
yeah,
Twitter.
yeah,
Everyone calls it
yeah,
Twitter.
exactly.
As I tweeted, I said, you could. What if he bought Coca Cola and decided to call it Flurbu Goo Goo Goo? No one would call it Furbu Goo Goo.
No,
They call it Coke.
And
exactly.
we still
Always.
don't. We still
That was
don't.
the
Tell
first
them.
idiotic thing he did was try and
No.
change things. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We tweet. We don't excrete.
Yeah, no, yeah, he made it sound like a whole different website when he made that change. And look, what I was going to say about Twitter, Mark, and you could probably attest to this, and all of us can attest to this since you're on it, is my advice to people would be, you're stuck in an algorithm, okay? You're stuck in an algorithm, and often you're stuck in a feedback loop of sometimes a lot of negative information, all right? It's not a real place. So my advice to people would be, number one, put your head down. Don't let it stress you out on day to day, and get out and vote. I mean, you have the privilege to get out and vote, and that's why we're here. ! Vote in the chat. There's a lot of resources there to help guide you. It's really important, but because I've been really stressed out. I think a lot of us are stressed out in this election cycle in particular because of what's at stake. And I've found comfort in just understanding that I have a good feeling about this. We've got I agree with you, Mark. There's a lot of decent people, and I think it represents a large majority in this country that are going to go out and vote for this ticket. And I think that we've got a great opportunity to win.
Well, the fact that he could even be renominated after January 6th just blows my mind.
I know.
It's just the list of crimes he's committed, the stolen documents, the fake electors, and on and on and on. We don't need to go through it all, but I'm old enough to remember when Gary Hart's campaign was upended because he was sitting. There was a photo with him sitting with a woman who wasn't his wife sitting on his lap. This guy. We can't find his kryptonite because whatever he does, there is no more Republican Party. Let's be clear about that. There's an extremist MAGA cult of personality.
Yep.
They believe whatever he says, no matter what. I mean, it's workable when he's up in arms over Kamala lying about working at McDonald's. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The Washington Post said he lied 33,000 plus times just 4 years in office. God knows how many times he's lied since then. I mean, everything that comes out of his mouth, basically.
Yep. Yeah. No. Everything. And it's crazy. And you mentioned the old Republican Party, which there's still a lot of problems with the old Republican Party. But this was a party that would talk often about decency. This is a party that when Obama was president, they would criticize him for wearing a tan suit. Okay. You remember this? He shows up in a tan suit to a press conference, and this is the same Republican Party that doesn't bat an eye when Trump gets on his podium and talks about Arnold Palmer's penis. I mean, it's insane. I mean, it's insane. It's ludicrous.
The enablers are shocking enough. Franklin Graham, they printed his quote about Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky side by side with what he said about Trump. And of course, I mean, I'm paraphrasing. One is, this is outrageous that he would lie to his wife. If he would lie to his wife, why wouldn't he lie to the public? That's, and then Trump, he marches to his own drummer. It's his own private life. We shouldn't be concerned with what he does in private. And they're all hypocrites. I mean, the one thing that's interesting is the amazing amount of Republicans who put country over party. I mean, the obvious one, like the Cheneys and Adam Kinzinger and so forth. But I mean, Kamala had an event the other day where there were over 100 Republicans. I mean, the problem is most Republicans in office probably loathe them as much as we do, but they're indebted to their districts. I mean, if they're in districts that support them, they can't publicly say that. But I have a feeling. I mean, I said this when look what happened in the midterms in 2022. There's going to be a huge red wave.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yep.
we're going to gain 40 seats.
Mhm.
When they overturned Dobbs, it wasn't even a red trickle. It was, I think they gained 2 seats when they were expecting 40.